Today. And good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is Wednesday, January. Well, you know it's going to be January before we know it.
It
Watch,
will.
right? June 23rd. It's the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. I'm your guy for this Wednesday, Glen Henderson, and so glad to have you with us. A little housekeeping right off the bat. You know, always right after our general sessions, the hospitality suite is open to come by and chat and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Then later on, we've got our good friend Mandy Anderson over there in the U of K with Books for Britain. And then this evening, our final session this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern, Life and Business Tools with our good friend, Professor Adrian Garner. Got a nice group here. Nice to see you, Edward, and Robin. Suzanne's here, and Gail. Daisy just popping in. And of course, it wouldn't be the same without the Money Mama. Hey, Lindsay, good to see you. Hope everybody's doing well. We've had a good report from Gail on her recovery and rehab. I told her, listen, y'all, she's going to be zipping forehands across the net before we know it. So, yes, indeed, and summer's coming and all of that. Today is kind of a red letter date of sorts for me personally. As many of you know, I was born and raised in New York City, though you could never tell from my wonderful British accent. Today, June 23rd, I was just figuring this out. Paul and I were commenting upon it. Today, June 23rd, would have been my parents' 65th wedding anniversary. How about that? And so, we remember Dad with affection and with honor, and we certainly will be reaching out to Mama later on today to have a little chat and all of that. So it's an important day in the life of the Henderson family, an important day of remembrance. So what's going on with you today? How's your week going so far? You getting done a couple of things that you'd like to do? Have you run into a couple of roadblocks? How is everything going? I like to do one thing sometimes on Wednesdays, and that is kind of pause in the middle of the week and take one of those midstream inventories and see how everything is shaping up. Nice to see you, Carl. Good afternoon. Hello. So this week has been pretty good. I had a very, very productive conversation yesterday with a couple here in town in Houston who seem to be one of those pretty good power couples. She is a realtor, residential realtor, and her husband, interestingly enough, had worked in the oil and gas industry, and when he left that profession, he chose to study and obtain his real estate license, and now he is in the middle of a 1,000-hour training course. In fact, he's completed a 1,000-hour training course to test and acquire his appraiser's license, his home appraiser's license. And he's done all this to support his wife in her business and to work with her and help her succeed. Isn't that something? Isn't that the kind of man you'd like to have around your house, ladies, who will do whatever it takes to support you? I mean, that is some serious stuff right there. That's husband material right there. So having a chat with them, and we may be doing some work together on in some networking and some business ventures in the future. So we shall see. So it's been a pretty good week for me so far, and oh boy, have I got some news. You all know, you may have guessed by now that I'm kind of a Star Trek enthusiast. Have I mentioned that? So it's been an interest of mine over the past few years, like my whole freaking life. And so, I did a thing this week. Yeah, anytime the husband comes home and says, honey, so I did a thing. And she says, yeah, okay, how bad is this going to hit the credit card? So I did a thing this week, and because Paula had now I'm going to shift the blame. This was Paula's fault. She did this to me. Here's what she did. She sent me an email that, oddly enough, she received and I didn't, which is really strange. That she would have received this email and I didn't is really strange. And you'll understand how strange it is when you hear the nature of the email and what I did about it, the thing I did. So based on the email that Paula received and forwarded to me, I whipped out the credit card and I booked tickets and flights and hotel to the end that for the very first time in my entire life, me, you understand, me, first time in my entire life, I am going to a Star Trek convention. Never been. Carl is shocked. He can't believe it. I understand. It's just so out of character for me. I'll tell you what's out of character for me. What's out of character for me is having never gone to a Star Trek convention before. And I don't know why I've never gotten around to it. Timing, maybe the money was a little tight at the time the convention rolled around, or whatever else might have been going on in my life at the time, but it just never happened. Now, we're going to Vegas, baby. Star Trek convention. It's put on by a company called Creation Entertainment. Shout out to Creation Entertainment. And they're putting on this thing. And, it gets better. Not just going to the Star Trek convention. Going to go there with one of our credit cards cleared out. At least one of our credit cards cleared out. Because I fully intend to make substantial investments in Star Trek, what they call cosplay. You ever heard of this term, cosplay, where people dress up as their favorite characters in a movie or TV show or comic book or whatever it is, and as realistically as possible, with all the makeup and the costuming and everything else. So I intend to make substantial investments in Star Trek cosplay Starfleet uniforms. The captain, the chief engineer, whatever it might be. And the only problem is that that's going to present a challenge for me because, I'm going to get these Starfleet uniforms, I'm going to order these Starfleet uniforms at the convention, and I do not intend to order them in size fat guy. So, time to start putting in some work again, if you know what I mean. So, the rowing machine is all set up, and we'll be on it this afternoon and tomorrow morning, and moving on. And I may show you all a couple of before and after things at some point, but not yet. So, pretty excited. Pretty exciting news, right? Now, how much would you pay? But wait, there's more. At these events, there's certain things that happen there at the convention. You can go and do this and see that and meet. So what I did, the other thing, which cost almost as much as the tickets, and I don't mind. Here's why. I've arranged photo ops and autograph sessions where we're going to get to meet. Yes, Daisy, Paul is going as well. Whether she purchases a uniform will be entirely up to her. So I'm going. If you know anything about Star Trek, you'll understand when I tell you that I'm going to meet, among the other things, going to get to meet Walter Koenig, the actor who played Chekhov, George Takei, the officer who played Sulu, Nichelle Nichols, the actor who played Lieutenant Uhura, and William Shatner. Yeah, who was William Shatner? Come on, man. Get to meet the great Captain Kirk himself. So, this is all very, very exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be quite the thrill. We've already met, Paula and I have already met several actors, or two actors together from the series called Star Trek: The Next Generation. And then years and years ago, I got to meet one of the other famous Star Trek actors. So, look, I'm not interested in meeting them or getting autographs so I can go around and say, hey, look, see, I got so-and-so's autograph. You know why I'm interested in meeting them? I want to thank them. I want to have the opportunity to thank them in person for what their portrayals in the TV shows and movies have done for me, and how their portrayals and the ideas and the principles that they portrayed on screen changed my life. Here's one for you. I don't know if I've ever shared this story with you. Nichelle Nichols, the wonderful actress who played Lieutenant Nyota Uhura on the original series and some of the films. You know, the original series, Star Trek, ran for 3 years, 3 seasons. After the second season, Nichelle Nichols wanted to quit. She wanted to quit, and because she didn't want to be typecast, want to move on to other things and do other adventures and so forth. And then she got a phone call. Hello, Nichelle? Yes. Listen, you can't quit. What? What do you mean I can't quit? No, you can't quit. Don't you understand? Don't you realize that you have become a role model, an example, a hero to young black girls and black women across the country and all over the world? You're setting an example. You can't quit. You're showing an example of a successful, professional, accomplished black woman in a position of leadership, in a position of authority. You can't quit. You have to carry on. So she stayed on for the 3rd season and became an icon in all communities. You know who was on the other end of that phone call? Martin Luther King. Yeah. So Star Trek isn't just an iconic franchise to me. Star Trek is a cultural touchstone. It is both a reflection of societal trends, and it is a setter, a creator of societal trends all at once. And those things there are many, many people on whom those principles are not lost. And so you can imagine that what I'd like to chat about today is one of the principles that I've learned from Star Trek. And now I'm going to totally mess up the mood. You know why? Because I moved my laptop from where I was over the other side of the living room here to this spot, and I forgot to bring the power cord with me. So you all will be able to hear me. I'm just running over this way to the other side, grabbing my power cord. Yes, I'm still here. Give you a moment to sort of digest what we've talked about already while I save myself from a terribly embarrassing moment of my laptop completely dying. And here we So the idea is, the topic today is, I'm taking it from chapter 5 in the book. If you've read this already, and I hope you have, you know that chapter 5 is titled 2 Words. And I can't tell you how many times I have heard over the past couple of years, let's say, and over a lot of my life, people complaining about how they just can't do what they say they want to do. They just can't get the results in their life that they say they desire. Why? And when you ask why, they say, oh, well, because the economy is so messed up, or, well, because I lost my job, or, oh, yeah, because, that business deal fell through, or, oh, my wife left me, or my husband cheated on me. You can't imagine what that did to me emotionally, and oh man, the government and the taxes and everything and all the regulations, blah blah blah, and the white man be keeping me down, and man, it's just such bad. I just couldn't help it. I mean, after all, that's just the way I am. What am I supposed? How am I supposed to do different? I mean, it's just what happens, man. You ever heard anybody complain like that? Everybody heard anybody moaning? It just seems like they spend their whole life moaning and groaning about what somebody else did to them, and therefore their life isn't what they want their life to be. And so that was a big reason why I included that chapter, 2 Words it's called, in the book. I'm going to summarize. It's from an episode from the 3rd season of the original series of Star Trek. The episode was called Requiem for Methuselah. Now, isn't that a really poetic, beautiful sounding title for a TV episode? Requiem for Methuselah. In the first place, I think I've mentioned that I got to the point where I had to watch Star Trek episodes with a dictionary in my hand. I was 7 years old when this episode debuted. I had no idea what a requiem was. And the only reason I knew who Methuselah was because I grew up in church. That's one of the names of one of the old stories from the old book, and so I was kind of familiar with that. But requiem? What's a requiem? Oh, right. I had to go and look it up. Basically, it's a funeral mass, a mass for the dead. A recognition anyway. And it tells the story of, how the crew of the Enterprise is in terrible danger from a virus that's killing crew member after crew member, and they've got to find a particular element in order to create a vaccine to stop this Rigelian fever from killing the entire crew. So they go to this planet where they find this substance, and they encounter a man who opposes them, tries not to not let them collect this material, but then they work it out and everything. And it also turns out that this gentleman named Flint has a young lady living on the planet with him, his ward, as he refers to her. And over the course of the episode, what happens is that, of course, she's beautiful. And yes, of course, she and Kirk, anyway, this is Kirk, So at a certain point in the episode, it becomes very clear that this new romance between Kirk and Rayna is exactly what Flint wanted. Why? And now I'm gonna give away one of the chapters in the book. Is that all right with you? I'm gonna kind of give away the thing. The reason Flint wants Rayna and Kirk to fall in love is because Reyna is not actually his ward. In fact, she's not even human. She's a robot, an android, as they call them. Built, as Flint says, created here by my hand. Here the centuries of loneliness were to end. Turns out Flint is immensely old and virtually immortal. And so he wants a companion, right? Which, yeah, we all want companionship. And Spock finally figured this out. What Flint was doing with Reyna. And Spock says to Flint, he says, oh, I see. You used your knowledge, your skills that you've acquired over centuries to create a perfect, ultimate woman, as brilliant, as immortal as yourself, your mate for all time. So that was the plan. And the idea of getting Kirk involved with this was that somehow Kirk, with his charm, you know Kirk, that James Kirk would somehow be able to stimulate the circuitry within this Reyna android and activate her emotions to make her rethink and feel and react like a human being would, so then she would turn and fall in love with Flint, you see. You kind of following along? Kirk says, you can't do that to her. She has the freedom. She should be able to do. She's no one's property. And so these two men start to fight. And here it comes. Here it comes. You ready? Here it comes. Reyna says, I cannot be the cause of this. I will not be the cause of this. And stop, she says, stop. And then she says the two words. You ready? Wait for it. She says, Reyna, the android, says, I choose. I choose. I choose where I want to go, what I want to do. I choose. Flint starts to interrupt and she says, no, do not order me. No one can order me. And at that point, Kirk sees it. Kirk sees it. He recognizes it. He says, she's human. Down to the last blood cell, she's human. Down to the last thought, hope, aspiration, emotion, she's human. The human spirit is free. You have no power of ownership. She's free to do as she wishes. And what happens after that is for you to find out in the book. I will tell you this. And here's the whole point. You choose. You choose. John likes to talk about something called the locus of control. You ever heard John talk about the locus of control? What it essentially means is that you and I have control over our own lives. And I'm just going to read. That's okay with you. What separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom? What gives us the ability to rise above our circumstances, to overcome any obstacle, to control our own emotions and our own responses to any and all situations? It is your freedom. Your right, indeed, your responsibility to choose. You can choose what career direction you take. You can choose how you respond to the angry email in your inbox or the road raging driver in the next lane. You can choose first thing in the morning. You can choose what kind of day you're going to have. And the moment you give up that choice, the moment you say, he made me upset, or I couldn't help it, or what was I supposed to do? In that moment, you become disempowered. You become at the effect rather than at the cause of your life. Indeed, you become, in that moment, you become less than fully human. You catching this? Never, never, never surrender your will to the push and pull of circumstance. Never allow someone else to exercise control over your emotions. Never give in to the thought that I can't help it. It's just the way I am. Stop. Take a breath. Realize that in every moment, the choice is yours and yours alone. Then, choose. One of the most important lessons I learned in my life, and I actually learned it fairly young, was that whole notion of choice. I've talked before about a book that I read called Life is Tremendous. I read this book when I was 10 years old. And I remember, never surrender, Lindsay, never surrender your life to the push and pull. Never surrender your free will to the push and pull of circumstance. That's the exact quote, Lindsay. Never surrender your free will to the push and pull of circumstances. The lesson that I learned from this book, Life is Tremendous, is that just as we said in the book, I get to decide what my attitude is going to be on any given day. I get to decide the minute I wake up, first thing in the morning. I get to decide whether it's going to be a good day or not. And newsflash, so do you. And you know, I think one of the best, greatest messages of good news you and I can share with the world is to communicate as clearly and as passionately to every person we come across, every person in every conversation we have, to every person that we meet, the wonderful, glorious news that each of them has the power to choose. No one can control you. No one has the right to dictate what your life will be. No one has the right to order you and boss your heart around, boss your brain around. No one has the right to tell you where you want to go, what you choose to do. That choice is always yours. And, you know, sometimes people hear that and actually don't want to hear it. You know why, right? You can probably figure out why. Why people don't always want to hear that. Because if my life is completely in my control, if I have, and I do, endowed by my Creator, if I do have the absolute right to choose my responses, how I react to life, I have the absolute right to choose what goals I seek to pursue. If it's all on me, then it's all on me. You see what I mean? In other words, The freedom to choose also includes the freedom to fail. It also includes the freedom to live with the consequences of my choices. Oh man, why do these things keep happening to me? Well, that was another lesson that I learned, and unfortunately had to learn it the hard way, which was that virtually all of the circumstances of my life, virtually all of the situations in which I currently find myself are the direct result of the decisions and choices and actions that I have taken in the past. Ooh. Oh, come on, Glenn. Now you're cutting a little close to the bone there, Glenn. You mean to tell me that everything that's going on in my life is because of something I chose? Yeah. My financial situation, where I am financially right now, is because of something I did, something I chose, some action I took? Yeah. My relationship, good, bad, or indifferent, my relationships with my loved ones, my spouse, my family, and everything else are the result of choices that I made? Come on, man. There's got to be somebody else in here. There's got to be some bad luck or, circumstance. You can't control everything. No. I can control my choices. I can control what I do. And see, sometimes that's tough to hear, but in my opinion, that's actually really, really good news. Why? Because if it's all on me, then it's all on me. Wait a minute, I just said that. Yes, I know. Which also means that it's all on me. I get to change the direction of my life at any moment I wish. How? By changing my choices. You don't like how much money you have in the bank? Choose to go earn some more. You don't like how your relationship is right now? Choose to be a better mate. You don't like how many customers you have in your business or in your coaching practice or in your agency? Go get some more. As I say sometimes, is you picking up what I'm putting down? Your life is in your hands, and it's all up to your choices, whether you like it or not. So own it. Own that. Own the fact that I have chosen where I am today. And now I get to make a different choice. Wow. What freedom. As John likes to say, what an opportunity. I now have the opportunity to choose a different direction. I have the opportunity to make one more phone call at the end of the day. I have the opportunity to list one more product. When I'm kind of tired, I think I'll do it. No, I'll do it now. I choose my actions. I choose my fate. I don't remember the entire poem right now. I used to have it memorized. The last couple of lines. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the goal, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. It's all on you. If it's all on you, then it's all on you. But that also means it's all on you. So, choose. That's me done. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I saw a couple of nodding heads, and I'm really interested. I'm really interested in your thoughts about this. I understand this is, for some, a delicate subject. Because I used to hate the idea that the whole thing was up to me. The whole thing's up to me. So if my life is messed up, that means it's because I messed it up? Sorry, not sorry. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? Edwards, I can see the smoke coming out of the ears, my friend.
You know, I've been trying to sit back, man, and not say anything. But every time you get on, it's like you're drawing me out, you know? I just had a thought.
Yeah.
Looking back on your life, you think about a couple things. And number one, you think about the access you had or you still have and the opportunities you didn't pursue.
Yes.
But you also think about the old adage of you are a culmination or combination of the 5 people, the 5 books, and 5 years who, you know, that's who you become. And you choosing allows you to become, you know, and what you choose to become or not become, just like you said, is all on you. So to be able to read those books or not read them, to be able to hang around the kind of people that you would like to become or not, all those are choices that we have done or not done. And, you know, the reality is that a lot of times you'll get around people and they really and truly could care less about whether you progress or not. And so assimilation is something that you really and truly don't want to do, but you find yourself falling into the trap, you know, because I was listening to Jim Rohn this morning about the 97% versus the 3%, you know, and, you know, yes. he says, you know, strive to be, you know, committed to excellence, strive to be committed to associations that's going to uplift your life. Because all of us have those negative scenarios, those negative habits, those negative exposures, you know, negative social media, you know, just negative relatives, negative friends, you know, and not just negative, but sometimes detrimental to your progress. So we have to protect that, and you have to make sure that, you know, and here lately, what's really come out for me is the 5 books. You know? The 5 books. I mean, Glenn, I've had these books forever, but, you know,
they've been sitting on the shelf.
Well, no, I read them.
Okay.
I read them, but I didn't do them. And I learned a long time ago to know and not to do is still not to know. And see, I read them, but I didn't use them. And you don't read a book to read it, you read a book to use it. Yep. So my whole mentality about what this thing is all about, you know, has really just opened up and blossomed. And that poem you said, I have that committed to memory. You know, and the very first line just exposes everything. It says, out of the night that covers me. You know, the night covers you if you allow it to. Black as a pit from pole to pole, from end to end, it's just as black and deep and dark as you choose for it to be. But the next line says, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. So that goes back to you choose, right? You choose whether you're conquered, whether you're not. So like I said, you know, I could, you know, just pontificate on this forever because it's real and it's true. And I agree with you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Edward. You just you just made me go ahead and do it. I'm impressed, man. You still have it. You still have it. Remember, listen, You'll have to excuse me for a moment. The poem is by William Ernest Henley, and the poem is called Invictus. Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole. Well done, Edward. Well played, sir. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance my head is bloody but unbowed.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the captain, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Now, you want to know something really, really and truly perverse? I once sat, and I'm not going to name the person who did this or the place by name. I once sat in a Sunday morning service in a church someplace where the person speaking, the preacher, quoted those two last lines, I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul, and the preacher used those lines to teach a lesson about the exact opposite. In other words, you're not in control of your life. You're not in control of your fate. God is in control. And okay, I kind of got where the preacher was coming from, that there are certain things we can't control. Mother Nature, for instance. And, you know, as they say in sports, Father Time is undefeated, if you know what I mean. We've all got a number that's coming up for us. So certain things. But I always remember thinking, if it's wrong for me to think that I'm the master of my fate, if it's wrong for me to think that I can change the circumstances of my life, then why even try? Why even bother? And it really soured me on that particular opinion offered by that particular preacher. I have nothing against church per se, but I grew up in one. But to take that and say, and to actually say, I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul, and to turn it around into a lesson about how powerless we are, made no sense to me. So you see, even as a little kid, I was thinking about this whole notion of, I get to choose. I get to decide how my life. I love it, Sharon. I choose my thoughts, my friends, how I spend my money, how I spend my. Yes. Take every thought captive. Of all the thoughts, I'm loving this. I'm quoting you right now, Sharon. You can pick this up from the chat. Of all the thoughts that go through my mind, I must choose the one that will help me move forward in this moment. I get to choose. Each of us gets to choose the nature of our mindset, the nature of our thoughts. Do we choose thoughts that are empowering or thoughts that are disempowering? Do we choose thoughts that lead us to opportunity, or do we choose thoughts that lead us to surrender and servitude? Woo. Choose, y'all. Choose. And don't let anybody tell you. You know, one of my you know what? I'll hold on to that. Mandy, our good friend, how are you?
Hi, Glenn. I'm good, thank you.
Excellent.
There was lots of thoughts coming up for me in here.
Mm-hmm.
I first met this concept again with one of my favorite authors, Susan Jeffers, quite a few years ago, about 20 years ago, probably. And she was saying that at that point, she was saying you have a choice of everything you do is a choice. But if you go that way, you'll get strawberries. If you go that way, you'll get raspberries. But you're getting something everywhere you go.
Yes.
She was also saying that you have even staying where you are is a choice because you're
Yes.
choosing not to go. So if you decide that you're in a bad relationship or something and you don't want to go, it's your choice. And also that sometimes you have reasons for staying there, which is what you said, people may not feel very comfortable sometimes if they're told it's down to them, because you might have a reason for staying there, and usually it's because you don't want to get out your comfort zone, or you don't want to go do something because it's a fear of the unknown rather than what you have, or that you're getting something back for the choice that you're making. So you might be getting the attention or whatever. So sometimes it can be difficult for people to learn that the choice is theirs. And we're just learning also, we're a bit behind you in the book, but chapter 7 we're doing tonight, and the choice of happiness was really, I mean, I heard that too, but really it's really putting it back there again, that it's our choice to choose happiness. First thing in the morning we can say, I choose to be happy, I choose to think good thoughts, not bad thoughts. And it is so empowering to have that. It's so empowering to know that it is your choice. And in a way, so I wrote down, it's all on you, but isn't that great? Because
Yes.
when it's all on us, it's so great, because that's part of doing this business. And for those of you that are working for other people, if you can get into this and not be working for them anymore, that's one of my whys. I don't want to go back to working for somebody else, because it's our choice every day, what we do, how we move forward, and how we see things. And it's and to not have somebody else telling you what they want you to do that day, that it's their view of things, and the way that, you know, it can be quite stifling in some organizations when you're not allowed to be able to be creative. And so I found it that it's really good. I mean, and there are some cases where we don't have a choice what happens to us, in the sense of if somebody else decides they want to have a divorce, give you a divorce, that's not your choice, is it? Somebody else has decided they don't want to be with you anymore, they want to have a divorce. But you do have a choice how you react to it and how you move forward. And that was something I learned as well in the past. And so I just, I love this topic. I love Star Wars, Star Trek as well, especially William Shatner, and that is my era. That's what I grew up with as well. I can't remember how old I was, but yeah, I grew up with all of those. And it's like Doctor Who over here. You grew up with the one that you know, that you remember, that you saw at the time.
Absolutely.
So yes, thank you for this topic. I think, yes, it's all on you, but it's great.
Yes, it's all on you. It's all on me, and that's great news.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
You know, a 7-word sentence that is one of my least favorite in the world, and I hear it all the time, and I don't. It's not my intent to take this into any kind of political realm. That's not where I'm going with this. I will say I hear it far, far too often, I'm sorry to say, in the black community here in the U.S. And that sentence is, "You don't know what I've been through. You don't know, man. Well, I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up over here, crime and gangs and blah, blah. What do you expect from me? What else you expect from me? I'm just reacting to my... You don't know what I've been through." You familiar with the name Dr. Ben Carson? Ben Carson grew up in Section 8 housing. That is government housing, council housing. He grew up in po folk housing in a filthy, rundown, crime-infested neighborhood in a major city here in America, born to a single mother, no father in the house, gangs on every street corner, drug dealers under every street light at night, sometimes in broad daylight. This is where little Benny Carson grew up. And he could have surrendered his will to the push and pull of circumstance. He could have surrendered to the gang, to the mob, to the drug culture. He could have fallen into that same trap of crime and drugs and jail and maybe even death. You know what he did? You know what little Ben Carson did? He chose a different path. He chose a different direction. He chose to change the people that he associated with, Edward. He chose to change the books that he was reading. He chose to read some books. He chose to bear down on the books in school and study hard. You know where Ben Carson is today? Ben Carson is today recognized as quite probably the greatest pediatric neurosurgeon who has ever lived. He has saved countless infant and toddler and young children and even unborn lives, preborn lives. Could he have ended up just like the other thugs in the hood? Sure. He didn't. He raised himself up out of his circumstances and changed the lives of millions. Why? Because Dr. Ben Carson chose. Gail, what's on your mind, ma'am? Let me hear.
Hi. I think I've mentioned before that I did not have the ideal childhood, and everything that happened or was done to me, I chose not to repeat. A lot of people who have had things happen or done to them as I've had go on and do those things again. And I am very proud of myself for choosing not to repeat the cycles. I remember once asking my father on the phone, why he kidnapped me and my sister, and I'm not going to go into it now, but anyway, when I asked him why he did the things he did, knowing that he himself had gone through some of those things as a child, his answer was, I am the victim of a victim of a victim. And that was that. So I said to him, I am so happy that I have chosen not to repeat and do the things that were done to me. And because of that, my children, my 3 children, have grown into beautiful human beings. And we have such a close relationship. And I'm very proud of choosing not to repeat the things that were done to me. So this all hits home. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Gail. Thank you for being so vulnerable and transparent and sharing that. You chose to break a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You chose to break a cycle. You chose to cast a different vision for your family.
Yep.
You chose to chart a different path. That I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to process and to face and own and process and release those old hurts and angers and resentments, whatever they might have been. But you did it.
It took years and years and years, but I did it, yes.
You did it. There you go.
And forgiveness is a big thing too.
I heard a saying once. You know where I heard it? I heard it on an episode of Criminal Minds, one of my favorite TV shows. You know how they have a little quote at the beginning, at the end, something profound. One of these episodes had a quote at the end of the episode which said, I forgot who said it, but it said, forgiveness cannot change the path. Forgiveness cannot change the past, but it can enlarge the future. That's a good one, right?
Yep.
I know Lindsay's writing that one down too. Forgiveness cannot change the past, but it can enlarge the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, huge decision, huge decision. And each of us has that same decision in our hands as Gail had. Perhaps in different circumstances, perhaps a past of a different character to a different degree of magnitude. Perhaps our struggles have been to a different degree of magnitude in a different way. But each of us has, at every moment in our lives, the moment of truth, the moment of choice. And how I respond in that moment will, to a very great degree, determine how the rest of my life will move forward. So, choose already. Listen, thank you all so much. This is such a powerful topic, and I love reminding people. No, he didn't piss you off. You chose to be pissed off. No, she didn't make you do that. You chose to do. What do you mean I chose? Yes. Could you have reacted differently? Could you have said something? Or could you have simply chosen to hold your tongue for a moment? You could have. You didn't, and I'm not judging what you did or didn't do. I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't have done. All I'm saying is you had a moment of choice. You had a moment to choose, and you chose. And what happened was the result of your choice. I would say to like a generic person in a conversation, you know what I'm saying. So I do my very best to not let people off the hook in a very friendly way, in a very tactful, collegial, caring way as caring in as caring a way as I can. No, you don't get to blame this on somebody else, my friend. You don't get to blame. Once we turn 21, we don't get to blame mom and dad for our problems anymore. You know what I'm saying? Choose. At every moment in our lives, we have the choice. So choose. Thank you all so much for spending the time. Once again, we've got the hospitality suite wide open right after us. Then we've got Books for Britain at 3 Eastern with our good friend Mandy Henderson. Looking forward to it. And then the good Professor Garner at 6 this evening with our final event, our final mastermind event for this evening, Life and Business Tools, 6 p.m. Eastern. And yes, I have to say this for Lindsay's benefit and for mine, just to remind me. We'll be getting together for Networking Magic next Wednesday, the 30th of June. Thank you all so much. Choose to make it a good day, because you know you absolutely deserve it. Live long and prosper, my friends. See you soon. Bye for now.